Welcome to my channel, Wipe the Lipstick Off the Pig. I am Yo, and I'm going to talk about a very uncomfortable but much needed topic to bring awareness to empaths, chosen ones, earth angels, and light workers who find themselves a target of malevolent vessels on a constant basis. It is safe to say in the past decade, the unseen ramped up activities, and there are increased videos and discussions surrounding things that were once taboo to speak on. An awakening has taken place where many of us are seeking truth and a way to set ourselves apart from the wickedness and deceptions of this world. I'm going to share my testimony in hopes that it will help you as you navigate your own experiences. Unfortunately, real life is stranger and more horrifying than fiction because in real life, we do not get to witness a warning sign, such as a physical touch to alert us about the vessel being used by an evil entity. Yes, there are demonic and or unclean spirits occupying the same space as us that are influencing humanity through our thoughts and interpersonal relationships with one another. In this classic scene, the evil entity is within the cat and transfers to the man and transfers again and again to unsuspecting vessels in order to toy with Denzel Washington. This is the best depiction of how these entities work in our reality. We simply mind our business and attempt to live our lives inspiring to be better than we were yesterday. As empaths, chosen ones, light workers, and or earth angels, we make it our priority to clean up our lives so we are in the best place to love and support others. As we strengthen our spirit and gain favor from the Most High Yahuwah, the universe, and or source, we also gain the attention of the wicked and evil beings within the spirit realm. If you achieved high ranking in the most positive sense, more than likely a polar opposite high ranking entity in the most negative sense has been assigned to destroy you or at the very least stop you from ascending and fulfilling your purpose. Now yes, many of us are very much aware of our protection and may have plenty of it, but that does not hinder or deter any attempts by the opposition to find a crack in your protection and see through in order to wreak havoc on your life. Again, we are human and have our faults. No one is perfect and we strive to do our best. The flesh makes us weak. What I've noticed in this reality is the malevolent entity does want you to know it's there and will say or do something that triggers you and affirms to you that you are not interacting with that vessel but the entity inside that vessel. In most cases, the vessel may not even realize what they've done or just said. I recall being stunned by just what came out of somebody's mouth as I was interacting with them, wondering how they knew something that they should not have known about me. Look fam, there is no aspect of your life that they cannot infiltrate. As long as the people you hold near and dear or even perfect strangers do not fortify their temples and bodies, they will remain susceptible to temporary possession. We just have to stay strong in our faith and beliefs and know where we are with our thoughts because we only have control over ourselves and our reactions. I once believed, like many folks still do, that my thoughts were private. Well, allow me to testify to you right here and right now that our thoughts are not private. Disembodied spirits, familiar spirits, and every unseen entity in between have access to your thoughts. Those of us with the gift of being an empath have felt others' feelings, which may have been totally opposite of how they presented themselves on the outside. Some of us are able to tap into someone's Akashic records and know who they are in a matter of seconds. This world is a remarkable place. As you level up and elevate yourself, many unseen beings will notice you too. It is imperative that we differentiate our inner dialogue from thoughts that simply don't belong. Yes, thought projection is also very real, and there are humans as well as disembodied entities that project thoughts, and it is up to us to dismiss them if they do not align with our thought process and beliefs. Knowledge is power. It gives you a slight advantage to know what you're up against. Unfortunately, in the beginning stages of experiencing the merry-go-round of vessels being used by the same malicious spirit, I was downright frightened. I stayed in prayer and put in my work every day to achieve my purpose. I recall in 2012, when I first created a YouTube account, I was seeking out truth and found myself drawn to the targeted individual communities as I was just exposed to seeing that malevolent entity go to and fro through people in my life that had no affiliation to one another. Continuously use the same demeaning tactics and words to shake me up or break me down. Of course, hindsight is always 20/20, and I now know that part of my spiritual journey and or training was to have the ability to discern people versus the opposing darkness and the entity which may occupy them. Yes, learning such a lesson gives one pause and offers a view of this world through a very different lens. It makes us realize that we are also vessels too, that are being used to increase love, unity, and knowledge to our brothers and sisters who may be caught up in the mundane day-to-day, wanting to break free and become a better version of themselves. Now that was a prelude to what I'm going to get into for our single light workers out there. Please heed my warning about internet dating. I only entered into 2 relationships where I met the men online, and unfortunately it was back-to-back occurrences. The first one I dubbed as my twin flame. Now, as many of you are aware, that term does not give the warm and fuzzies, or at least it did not for me. There are many lessons learned within a twin flame dynamic, and in my case, I experienced excruciating pain during the 2-year situationship. It was an emotional roller coaster with high ups and deep lows. I learned about energy and what some refer to as chakra alignment. I realized that telepathic communication was not science fiction, and it became a reality between he and I. A well-known YouTube creator named Dio Veslanov, I don't hope I didn't mess his last name up too bad, but he made a video called Twin Flames Mirroring Neurons in September of 2017. His video helped me understand the supernatural aspects I faced with the twin flame because honestly, I thought I was going nuts. The TF was much more advanced in spiritual matters than I was at the time, and he used his gifts to his advantage. Again, hindsight is 20/20, y'all. Now, I know when the TF found me through the internet dating, he was a married man. I know that now. I didn't know it then. So please note, I would never willingly get involved with a married man, and I did not know until our situationship was over. He was married for a whopping 26 years at the time our 2-year entanglement wrapped up. I came to realize that I was not his first affair, and before, during, and after me, he used his spiritual gifts on unsuspecting women. So he would pick a woman up online, tap into her Akashic records, and project thoughts like you're in love with me, and thoughts which persuaded you to want to call him and be in his physical presence. His gifts were insane. An example, he would call me and give me advice on what I was thinking. Yeah, no cap. I was at work on break, having a really hard time. I was contemplating how, as a mere employee, how I was going to go up against my then narcissistic boss, who was an executive director with the whole department serving as her flying monks. And I was feeling defeated. Immediately, my cell phone rang, and before I could even say hello, he said, "Repeat after me. I am in control." He then requested I repeat that to myself when I began feeling the way that I felt, and write small positive affirmations on Post-its and put them up where only I could see them every day before I go to work. It was mind-boggling. To make a long story short, at first I felt great in the situationship. I felt like I was dating a male version of myself that had mastered all that I was still working on. He was abundant financially, intelligent, well-traveled, humble, confident in appearance, in complete control of his emotions. 2 years later, I was terrified and shocked. I requested help from another spiritual inclined person to help teach me how to block him from my thoughts. I literally was Googling and searching Reddit to see if anyone was being psychically stalked by a warlock or human. I felt violated. Imagine having another person in your head. Not cool. That happened one morning. I awoke and realized I was not alone in my own head and that he was sharing my consciousness with me. Yeah, the TF was able to astral project to me, send familiar spirits to spy on me, and pop into my head to remote view at any given time. I was able to feel his energy signature and know when he was doing these things. Oh yeah, we both were guilty of tapping into one another's Akashic records and retrieving information. Again, at that time, I was just learning that this was even possible. I didn't even know I was able to do those things. It's as if he knew what I was capable of and toyed with me to watch me squirm and learn. My experience with the TF alone deserves its own video series. If you're interested in hearing more, let me know in the comments. So anywho, I was praying unceasingly and everything short of begging for the connection to be severed. I recently became aware that many people are on social media describing meeting a warlock or witch that psychically stalks and torments them. I was surprised to see so many people seeking deliverance ministry and etc. present day, because at that time I was subjected to it. There was nothing but a single comment on Reddit where there was a female victim and she went to the police and they painted her as crazy, and then she went to a psychiatrist and that got her hospitalized. And she was even hopeful that the heavy doses of medicine that she would receive in the hospital would buffer the psychic attack from her abuser, but to no avail. I couldn't find another update about her situation. Ultimately for me, I learned how to block him from my head, but couldn't keep it up 24/7. I gave my fight to Father Yahuwah to handle because this was not of my understanding. Shortly thereafter, my twin flame found out that he was terminally ill, and the intrusive supernatural action stopped, and I would get an occasional telepathic tap-in, but nothing as outrageous as he once exposed me to originally. Believe it or not, that occurrence did not deter me from online dating, and I decided to try it once more. Shortly after the entanglement with the twin flame, I met another love interest online, and he seemed to be heaven sent in the beginning. Of course, in hindsight, I can admit that he had a dark side that I peeped immediately but ignored. While we were conversating on the phone, getting to know one another more, I noticed he would mirror my emotional state. For instance, when I answered his phone call and I was sad about something, he would switch from being upbeat to a melancholy mode, which struck me as odd. With every phone conversation, his mood would instantly match mine, no matter what he was going through in his life. I got so annoyed by the superficial mirroring, it got under my skin. How was I ever going to see what type of person he was if he constantly mirrored me? I chalked it up to the courting stage, assuming we're older folks in the dating game and perhaps he was a little rusty. Wrong answer. That was a serious red flag, and I should not have dismissed it. At the time, I didn't think much of it because the courting stage is supposed to be fun, and not too many people even bother going through the motions with taking the time out to get to know one another. Hooking up and sneaky links are the norm. After many text messages and phone calls, we both agreed upon meeting one another. Just so has it, when we finally met in person, I was taken back by how he was looking at me. It wasn't natural. It was extremely lust-filled. It wasn't your average look a man gives you when he likes what he sees. It was perverse. A facial expression that you'd find on a sleazeball at a peep show. No lie, it made my skin crawl. Of course, I let that slide since it was our very first in-person encounter. However, on the third date, I simply could not ignore it anymore, and I had to say something because he made me feel like I was a T-bone steak. I don't know what type of females he was dealing with that liked that sort of thing, but it really made me uncomfortable. So I asked him not to sexualize me so much. I was wearing my rose-colored glasses and overlooked everything. I mean, I called him out on his narcissistic tendencies, yet still commenced on getting to know him. Of course, his charm was not lacking. He knew exactly what to say, and his actions went far beyond in comparison to any other that I met before. He was the type of guy that would buy me fresh flowers while we were shopping together in the grocery store. He was quite attentive in referring to himself as all in and super single. He was great at expressing himself. We'd have dates that lasted for hours. I'm sure many of you experienced the love bombing. Admittingly enough, a supernatural version of it's like paradise. The words are perfect, the environment, the vibes. It's a fairy tale. I felt like Cinderella and did not want the clock to strike 12 midnight. I didn't want the fairy tale to ever end. One of his lines he said to me with conviction was, "God sent me to take care of you." I had no idea how that statement that made me smile would years later make me cringe. We did not share the same God. Yes, the beginning was beautiful, and it's always a beautiful thing. And I'm going to tell you, words cannot explain sex with a vessel carrying an incubus or succubus spirit. Just like they know exactly what to say to you to achieve a space in your heart, they know exactly what to do. It is mind-blowing. That incubus-succubus spirit has plenty of experience. They've been using vessels for eons fulfilling their sexual desires. They are undeniably great in bed. All the red flags melt away and you find yourself in a state of euphoria for months. Heck, if they're good, they can keep you in that state for years, which was my case. I could not ignore all his narcissistic tendencies, though. He had an endless supply of tactics he used. I would call him out on all of them, and he would say to me, "That's why I love you. You are the only woman who can tame the beast." Again, another statement which let me know he knew who he was and he knew what he was doing. At any rate, that bedroom action, charm in overdrive, and his constant reassurance of a future together, I was knee deep. The dance with the devil turned into a full-blown relationship. We were building together. We were a power couple. I opted to fall back and let the alpha male lead, and for a time, we were happy. However, what is that quote? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. In time, he wanted to be my source of everything. He wanted to be the controller of my emotions. He wanted my happiness to only come from him. I was to give myself to him. He wanted me to seek his permission in every aspect of my life. It was as if he wanted me to renounce God's will and give my will to him. That was too far-fetched for me to entertain. So the games began. The one-ups. All my reactions were in self-defense. Think about that. I was in constant mode of defending myself. I mean, think about it. One only must defend themselves if they're under attack. It was just as volatile as the divorce battle in this movie, War the Roses. But it wasn't physical like it was in the movie. It was spiritual, mental, and emotional combat. This vessel was operating purely with the incubus spirit. He was trying to tear me down, break me down, to make me into whatever he wanted me to be. Early on, before I was aware he had the incubus spirit on him, I recall pleading with him, requesting if he had thoughts about me that were negative, for him to just talk to me about them, because I knew I was under heavy attack. As I was seeking to solidify my spiritual journey, I was in battles with family, co-workers, and just about anyone who was susceptible to the malevolent entities to jump into. I was going through it. I knew whatever my purpose was had to be great due to the efforts of the opposition. That thought just kept me motivated, and I was making moves to elevate myself. As I was making moves, he was too. Instead of supporting me in my decisions involving my career growth and severing relationships with toxic family members, he played devil's advocate, pun intended. He challenged every decision I made. At times he argued with me for not running things by him first. My career is my choice and did not affect him in any way. Despite that fact, when I promoted myself and got a great gig, he pretended to be happy for me, yet he also would tell me that I didn't think things through and would attempt to cast doubt on me. I wasn't accepting his projections on me. I always know what I'm capable of and enjoy it when I exceed my own expectations. His behavior let me know he did not have a belief in me and did not support me in my own endeavors. He grew envious and black-hearted. A vessel carrying the incubus-succubus spirit cannot get enough sex. They want to force you to engage in sex when you are not interested in it. Their appetite for it repels you from even wanting it. You haven't seen true anger until you deny a vessel with this type of spirit on its sex. Ooh-wee! They come with the wrath of hell on you every moment until they get what they want from you. Every encounter you find yourself drained, energy gone, health diminishing, and you no longer want to participate in anything with them anymore. You want them to leave you the hell alone, because the only time that they are satisfied is if you're having sex. Every other waking moment, they are angry and playing petty mind games, devising ways to make you suffer. They want to punish you for not bending your will to theirs. Their rational mind is gone. Any conversation to try and fix the relationship, it's not being heard. The only thing they want from you is sex. Nothing else is acceptable. You will be ignored, neglected, and downright disrespected. All the wonderful attributes you have will be downplayed. You are compartmentalized into sex slave. Now, this is no life for anyone. The incubus consumes the vessel, and you are no longer in a relationship. It's something dark, disgusting, and unrecognizable. All your loved ones can physically see the toll you have paid just by looking at you. Hell, no matter how close you are to your loved ones, you don't even want to speak on the details of what you're going through and being subjected to, because you don't want to get that judgment. The last thing you want to be asked is, why are you putting up with that? And then being told that they would never stand for that. We've all been there a time or two. All I know is, at the height of the chaos, I literally had brain fog. My brain is my bread and butter. And I was finding myself unable to eloquently elaborate situations and couldn't come up with quick solutions like I was used to. It was jeopardizing my career. I was functioning on E because I was exhausted from defending myself day in and day out. Now let's not forget the true motive of an incubus-succubus spirit is just like their father, to kill, steal, and destroy. So those hours and hours of late night conversations, the data and knowledge of everything that damn near broke you in the past that you shared in confidence will now be used against you to destroy you. If you've been cheated on, lied to, or whatever infraction that you shared with this vessel will now become ammunition against you. They will mimic the behaviors of your previous abuser, and they will want you to know that they're doing this to you on purpose. Of course, we are not meant to battle in the same sense they do. We do not take their past and use it against them. We are warriors, however we lean on our faith, inner strength, and guidance to get us through. No matter how low the vessel goes, we refuse to stoop to their level, and they get furious about it. Now, I'm no saint. I felt compelled to say some hurtful things to back them up off me. Rest assured, it was the truth. And we all know the truth hurts. At the time, I just did not want to believe that all I had been through, that this was allowed to take place in my life. I became angry too. So the vessel and I battled out many times on many occasions, but again, not in a physical sense. It was worse. It was psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. Of course, within a rational thought process, it would be best to simply part ways and never look back. In matters of the heart, it's not that simple. Many of us find ourselves battling it out, going through an excruciating push and pull that could last weeks, months, and in some cases years. Either way, the war is too taxing on both parties. Health decreases, the mental strain of strategy, whether it's offense or defense, becomes too much to keep up with. Over time, the paranoia and anxiety of both parties commandeer any potential to be civil towards one another. Oddly enough, this estranglement was a fight for our very souls. Why would someone want total domination over another individual? It just makes no sense to me. Live, let live. I had to find the strength to let go and not feed into any past traumas that bonded me to him. I had to reprogram myself to trust in what I knew was right, and to trust what I saw right in front of my face. I had to take those rose-colored glasses off and just chuck them things as far as the eye could see. I had to question myself and figure out, why would you fight for someone that wanted to destroy you? It was a real eye-opener. I implore anyone who is going through a war with a significant other that is supposed to love them to retreat. Leave the battle. It isn't worth the fight. Love is kind. Love is patient. It's compassionate. Anything otherwise is not love. It's nothing you deserve. The casualties and the cost are too great.